The meaning behind Princess Leonor's outfits. What if a royal outfit is never just an outfit? When Princess Leonor appears in public, millions of eyes focus on the same details. The color she is wearing, the style of her dress, the shoes, the jewelry, and even how formal or relaxed her appearance seems. But behind those choices is something much bigger than fashion. For Leonor, clothing is becoming part of a public language, a way of communicating respect, responsibility, tradition, and the changing image of the Spanish crown. Today we're going beyond the photographs. We're asking, what does Princess Leonor's style really communicate? And why could her fashion choices become increasingly important as she prepares for her future role as Queen of Spain? Stay until the end because some of the most interesting details are not the obvious ones. Leonor's clothes have a job. Princess Leonor is not an ordinary young woman attending ordinary events. As heir to the Spanish throne, many of her public appearances have an official purpose. She may attend a military ceremony one day, a diplomatic event another day, and a cultural engagement soon after. Each environment has its own expectations. That means her clothing has to balance several things at once. She needs to look appropriate without appearing overly distant, elegant without appearing extravagant, modern without abandoning royal tradition, and youthful without looking unprepared for the responsibility ahead. This is one reason Leonor's style is so fascinating. Her outfits are not necessarily designed to dominate the room. Often, they work precisely because they don't. The goal is usually to complement the occasion and allow the role to remain more important than the clothes. And that tells us something important about the image she is developing: the power of simplicity. One of the most noticeable characteristics of Leonor's public style is simplicity. Clean silhouettes, classic shapes, elegant dresses, tailored suits, and accessories that generally don't overwhelm the overall appearance. Why does this matter? Because simplicity can communicate confidence. When someone doesn't need an extremely complicated outfit to attract attention, the focus can shift toward their presence, their words, and their responsibilities. For a future monarch, that can be powerful. Leonor's style increasingly suggests an image of someone who understands that royal visibility is not simply about being noticed. It is about being remembered for the right reasons. And this is especially important for a young heir. She is growing up under extraordinary public attention. Her clothes therefore become part of a delicate balancing act, young enough to feel authentic, but mature enough to reflect the position she holds. Color can speak without words. Now let's talk about color. Color is one of the easiest ways to create a visual impression. A soft color can create an impression of calmness. A strong color can communicate confidence and energy. White can create a sense of simplicity and ceremony. Navy and other dark tones can appear formal and authoritative. And brighter shades can make a public appearance feel more youthful and approachable. But here's an important point. We should be careful about claiming that every color Leonor wears has a secret royal meaning. Unless the royal household or Leonor herself has confirmed a specific intention, we cannot know exactly why a particular color was chosen. However, color still matters. Fashion experts, photographers, and the public naturally interpret visual choices. So whether intentional or simply part of professional styling, color contributes to the story an appearance tells. And for someone as visible as Leonor, that visual story can become part of her public identity. Tradition meets a new generation. Perhaps the most interesting thing about Leonor's fashion is the balance between tradition and modernity. The Spanish monarchy has centuries of history. Royal appearances often come with established expectations: formal clothing, ceremonial dress, elegant tailoring, and appropriate accessories. But Leonor belongs to a different generation. She grew up in the digital age. Her generation communicates through social media, video, photography, and rapidly changing cultural trends. So her public image cannot exist completely outside modern culture. And this creates an interesting challenge. How does a future queen respect centuries of tradition while representing a modern Spain? Her clothing becomes one small part of that answer. When she chooses a classic design, she can appear connected to tradition. When she chooses a contemporary silhouette, she can appear connected to her generation. The result is a style that doesn't have to reject the past in order to look toward the future. And perhaps that's exactly what a modern monarchy needs. The importance of the occasion. Another major factor is where Leonor is going. Royal fashion is strongly influenced by context. A military ceremony requires a very different approach from a cultural event. A national celebration is different from a diplomatic reception. A formal state occasion has different expectations from a university-related appearance. And Leonor has already experienced many different environments as part of her preparation for future responsibilities. Her wardrobe therefore has to adapt. This is not simply about looking fashionable. It is about understanding the environment. Imagine arriving at a solemn ceremony dressed as though you were attending a casual celebration. The clothing would immediately send the wrong message. Royal appearances require awareness of protocol. And as Leonor takes on more responsibilities, understanding those subtle differences will become increasingly important. Accessories. Small details, big impact. Sometimes the smallest details attract the most attention. Shoes, handbags, earrings, watches, hair styling, and other accessories can completely change the impression of an outfit. For Leonor, these details can help create a polished appearance without making the overall look excessive. And there is another reason accessories matter. They can connect generations. Royal families often have pieces that carry history or sentimental value. But again, we should distinguish confirmed information from online speculation. Not every piece of jewelry seen on a royal has a hidden message. Sometimes an accessory is simply an accessory. The important point is that Leonor's overall presentation is carefully observed, because she represents something larger than herself. Every detail becomes part of the photograph. And photographs can last for decades. Leonor's style is also about growing up. There is another layer to Leonor's fashion story. She is growing up in public. That is something very few people experience. For most young people, style changes privately. You experiment. You make mistakes. You discover what suits you. You change your mind. But for Leonor, those changes happen under cameras. Millions of people can compare photographs from different years and immediately see how her appearance has evolved. Her style has therefore become a visual record of her transition from childhood to adolescence and now into adulthood. And that transformation matters. Because Spain isn't only watching a princess grow older. The country is watching the future head of state gradually develop her own public identity. Her clothes are only one part of that transformation, but they are one of the most visible. What her style could mean for the future. So what might Leonor's evolving style tell us about the future? Perhaps the biggest message is balance. A future queen doesn't necessarily need to dress dramatically to command attention. She needs to appear confident, appropriate, composed, and connected to the people she represents. Leonor's public style appears to be moving toward that balance. Not abandoning tradition, not copying the past, and not following every fashion trend. Instead, developing a recognizable identity within the responsibilities of the crown. And that could become increasingly significant as she takes on more official duties. Eventually, people may look back at today's photographs and see the early stages of the woman who became queen. The dresses, suits, ceremonies, and public appearances may become part of a much larger historical story. The real message behind the outfit. So, what is the meaning behind Princess Leonor's outfits? The answer isn't that every dress contains a secret message. The real story is much more interesting. Her clothing reflects the challenge of being a young woman preparing for an extraordinary role. It has to respect tradition while allowing room for individuality. It has to communicate formality while remaining approachable. And above all, it has to support the role she represents. Because when Leonor walks into a room, people aren't only looking at fashion. They are looking at the future of the Spanish crown. And perhaps that is why her style matters. The most powerful outfit may not be the most expensive, the most dramatic, or the most talked about. It may simply be the one that allows her to stand confidently, respectfully, and naturally in the role she is preparing to inherit. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Princess Leonor is developing a distinctive royal style? Or is she still finding her fashion identity? Tell me your opinion in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deeper look beyond the crown, subscribe to the channel, because we explore the stories, traditions, personalities, and future of the Spanish royal family. And remember, sometimes the smallest details tell the biggest royal stories.